Professor Charlie Evans, and I'm going to talk a little bit this morning about the industrialization of the 19th century. Now, from reading in your textbook and from your earlier study in high school and probably even before high school, you know that the Industrial Revolution basically means to shift from an agrarian, rural, handicraft-based economy to an urban, industrial, heavy industry economy. And that took place beginning in the 18th century in England, and then spreading to the rest of Europe, and then to the United States throughout the 19th century, and then through other parts of the world in the 20th century. Typically, when you study industrialization and the Industrial Revolution, you study that the invention of the steam engine and the perfection of the steam engine in the 18th century allowed for the application of machine labor in the textile industry, and then the machine labor and then use of machines, steam engines was useful in the mining of coal, and that brought the industrial revolution to the coal industry, then the iron industry, the steel industry, etc., and as it developed and everything. And so what industrialization affected was it affected manufacturing of goods. It also affected urban population because it allowed for the concentration of people in cities, and it also allowed for the development of transportation, a transportation network that allowed for the movement of people between cities much more rapidly than before. I want to show you three quick graphs here to show you how things were all how different factors were interrelated in the 19th century. And I couldn't really find the exact graphs that I wanted, but these three graphs will kind of illustrate the point of what was happening in the 19th century. And the first graph that we have here is a graph of the population of Liverpool, and you'll see the continuous and pretty dramatic rise in population of Liverpool as the city became an industrial hub in the 19th century. And at one point here, just roughly, you see that between 1851 and 1861, the city started increasing in really about 100,000 inhabitants every 10 years. Now that's a pretty dramatic increase in population. Now, so the rapid urbanization of England and other industrial cities and countries as they began to develop heavy industry was going on in the 19th century. And that's what this graph illustrates here. The other graph here I have is the growth of coal production, and this is coal production in the United Kingdom in the 19th century, and you see the enormous takeoff from 1850 through 1900 as coal production soared to support steel and iron industries. And so as coal production grew, the steel and iron industries grew, the population of cities grew, etc., and so forth, whatever. The third graph that we have here is a graph of railroad mileage. It's not the best graph. It's kind of a nasty little thing. But you see that through the latter part of the 19th century, 1845, 1875, 1900, the continuing expansion of the railway network in England through these years. Now, railways required coal for the steam engines. It required iron for the rails and for the engines, and so it was all interrelated. As you built railways, you needed to build the steel and coal industry. And to support the steel and coal industry and the railways, you needed people, and so the people came to cities. And so that all interrelated occurrences going on in the 19th century created the Industrial Revolution. And so European society by 1900 was much different than it was in 1800. And specifically, if we look at England, for example, by 1900, England was largely urban, and the economy was largely manufacturing based. That was much different than what the economy and society had been in 1800. And so that also implied the different class structure by 1900. You had a middle class, a well-developed middle class, but you also had a well-developed labor and a working class, and that was something different than 1800 and everything. So, just to recap my really quick remarks here, if I can get my mind in order. The Industrial Revolution dramatically affected Western society and economy over the course of its development in the 18th and 19th century. Similar kind of changes will take place in the rest of the world in the 20th century as industrialization spread to other parts of the world. We haven't mentioned the political impact of the Industrial Revolution.